Welcome again to the Melling Law YouTube channel, where we talk about different estate planning topics for people living in Utah. Today we're continuing our series about when to update an estate plan, and we're going to talk specifically today about transitions. And these are not transitions necessarily in your own life. This would be transitions in the lives of your loved ones. Estate plans are really, when they're properly done, should account for most types of life changes, like somebody passing away or somebody entering a different phase of life, from working to retirement, or from school to the working type of phase of life, entering childbearing years. These different types of transitions, we really do account for most of those in an estate plan, whether explicitly or just by the way it's structured. However, there are some that are a little more difficult to account for, and if they're occurring in the life of one of your loved ones, you may want to look at revising your estate plan or accounting for that phase of transition. A lot of those especially might have to do with funds. Let's say you have a family member that's in a stage of life where they are needing to borrow quite a bit of funds from you, or maybe they're in a lot of debt. If you personally are lending them money and you want it to count against their inheritance if they haven't paid that back yet, then you want to make sure that that's accounted for in your estate plan. And this one's easy. You don't even need an attorney to do it. Just include a ledger with your estate planning documents that specifically notes that you have lent this beneficiary funds, and that while you may or may not want the funds to be paid back to the estate if you were to pass away unexpectedly, you definitely want the funds to count against their inheritance, so that we're not really having them double dip or anything like that. So that's one of them. Others would include major changes, such as a major shift in career, where there may be a period of months or years of unemployment, divorce, disability, some of these types of changes that would really impact the funds that they would receive. Let's say they're going through one of these major changes and they receive an inheritance during that time. It could be that inheritance just gets funneled through to different people and not to that person that you want to receive the funds. If there's any kind of court proceeding or any kind of major debt, these funds that you leave as an inheritance are just going to go straight to these third parties. So instead, you might want to diminish their share and augment the shares of your other loved ones during that period of transition, hoping then that they will help that beneficiary out, or we can set up some kind of other arrangement so that they're only receiving payments over a time. Whatever that may be, there's always a custom solution available, and it really just depends on what's appropriate for that situation, but it's something to be aware of. So if you have any loved ones who are going through these major changes in life, especially kind of that last factor to consider would be public benefits. If you have young children who are still in that kind of going to school phase of life, or very early in their career, or just starting their families, it may be that they qualify for certain types of public benefits anyway. And regardless of your philosophy on those types of public benefits, the fact of the matter is that they do have benefits available to them, whether it's assistance with their tuition or assistance with some of their living expenses or the medical expenses. And if you were to leave them an inheritance, in some ways that would affect their ability or eligibility to receive those benefits, whereas there are other ways to structure it where you're not going to affect their eligibility. So if you have any family members in these major transition phases of life, whether that's kind of a transition where they would be eligible for types of benefits, or a transition where a lot of their money might be need to be paid directly to third parties instead of to them as an individual, or where they have been borrowing funds from you. Any of these transitions in life, they do need a little bit extra care in an estate plan. So if you have these transitions, be sure to have your loved ones in mind as you review your estate plan. And if to the extent that the estate plan doesn't account for that situation, you are going to want to account for that. Thanks for watching. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to call us at any time.